so much for joining us today for podcast 72.
72.
The review.
The review. That rhymes.
Songwriting right there. Songwriting 101. Look, full disclosure, I have a little bit left at the end, but to be quite frank, it's not a lot of new information for us, more fill in the gaps. I'll explain why I haven't finished it. I was very much on track to finishing it. But first, let me please thank our patrons and our YouTube members for sponsoring the channel and helping us keep it running and going. I also, speaking of shout outs, would like to shout out paramedics all over the world. You are incredible. I've had my first real experience with calling paramedics for an emergency last week, which is connected to why I couldn't finish the book. And I watched them perform their magic. I know it's their job, but you are all such incredible people. I don't know if we have any of you in the audience. It would be an honor to have you in the audience. And it's one of those things where, you really truly appreciate how incredible they are when you see them in action.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like they put life back into someone before they even take them to the hospital. So we had I called in, and a couple of young men around our age showed up, and they're just heroes, really. So huge shout out to paramedics. I know you're all very underappreciated, overworked, and you are heroes. You are incredible. So all right, the review. I think what we'll do, because while I read it, I really didn't want to keep stopping and taking notes, because I knew that was really going to interrupt the flow and not make me want to read it anymore. So a lot of it is in my head. Don't worry, I have a good memory. And so I'll talk about it in a chronological order. And then at the end, I want to, if we have time, briefly talk about what Tom Bauer has had to say. Because he's been in a number of talk shows and journalists. Some of them have been pro, some of them have been neutral, and some of them have been fiery and against him.
How can there still be people out there who want to defend this crazy, crazy poor excuse for a woman? It blows my mind, especially on national TV.
Yeah, and they're British journalists as
the
well.
hell?
So, I mean, she attacked your country, she attacked your people, and they're still defending her.
I mean, it must be that they're so anti-monarchist that they'll latch on to anything, even if the other side is absolutely 100% wrong. So long as it's against the monarchy, they're on there, which is quite terrifying, because when you cross that line, there's nothing else. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of them, I don't know if I'll show the clips because I don't want to get a copyright claim, but some of them were, borderline, just, you can tell they're getting really angry.
Yeah.
And it's really personal for them. All right, so I think I've mentioned last episode how the first half of the book is pretty much majority Meghan's life before meeting Harry. And that's the part that I found really gripping and really interesting, because it really gave us an insight into how this woman came out of obscurity, really, and found her way in record time at the pinnacle of human society, being royalty.
Yeah.
And not just any royal family. I know that, every royal family has its own value and merit, but the British royal family is arguably the most famous, I would say, on the planet.
Yeah, I think as far as Western civilization goes, obviously we have other predominant, cultures in the world. But I think that when you say Queen, the first thing that comes to mind, at least in Australia, America, and the UK, would be the Queen of England.
Exactly. So I could be wrong on that. Maybe it's just, the era I grew up in, the British royal family is the most prominent. But regardless, she made it. And when I say in record time, I don't know if Tom Bauer didn't have enough detail, but in that chapter where he describes how she met Harry, oh my goodness, it just seemed like she just posed a question to a mutual acquaintance. It wasn't even her friend, really. Said if, she could set her up. And then that person was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it as long as I can show him some photos. That's it. That's all it took. And then within, I don't remember the time frame. Was it a day? instantly, pretty much within a day, within a couple of days, she's having, a blind. She's having a blind. Someone needs to tell them what blind date means.
Yeah.
They're having their first date, and the rest is history. So, it just seems like she is a woman who is used to getting everything her way, and a lot of that comes down to her own drive.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's luck. I mean, I guess luck plays into the genetic lottery, for example. She's very beautiful. You can disagree, it's fine.
I do.
I know Zach does. I don't. We're not at each other's throats about it. But conventionally attractive, and we all know that the way you look opens up doors, right? Whether you're male or female. So a lot of that has gone on in her life. But essentially, just to summarize as best as possible, she had a very charmed childhood.
Yep.
Even though her parents were divorced by the time she was very little, they both decided, and mostly Thomas, her father, decided that they would give her everything and anything.
Yeah, any future parents out there, that's not going to work.
Well, unless you want a Meghan.
But how could anyone want that after everything we've been through?
I actually don't know. I do wonder whether some people are like, well, I want a daughter or a son like her so they can take me up with them, elevate me with them.
Yeah, and that's another whole can of worms, isn't it? It's like, are you doing it because you want the best for them, or because there is selfish intent there?
Yeah. There are many Hollywood mothers that are known for, being that mommy manager or momager ever since they're little girls. I think Lindsay Lohan's mom was kind of like this, where they had their own dreams that never came to fruition.
Yeah.
And so they project everything onto their child and will, kind of manage them until they get to where they wanted to get.
They almost live vicariously through them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, a spoiled brat indeed, because her parents wanted to spoil her. Thomas Markle already had his 2 older children, Samantha and Tom Jr., but he was entirely enamored by Meghan, and he said it was the first time he had money when he, had Meghan. He was well off, and when he had his other 2 older children, he wasn't as financially stable.
Yeah.
And so his goal was to just give her everything. Yeah. And he admits to Tom Bauer, who met him for a couple of days in Mexico, that he spoiled her rotten.
Yeah.
And so he takes, accountability for that. Her mother was apparently missing for a good 10 years of her life. When I say missing, I don't literally mean she was missing to the family as well, but Meghan pretty much lived with her father, and he took care of her for most of her school life. And so it kind of makes it all the more painful when you realize how she's treating him now.
Yeah.
Because he was the present parent.
Yeah. And I can already see other gaps there where she's learning to be a woman and what a woman is through what she sees on TV, through what she sees through movies, if she's absent a mother figure. So.
Yeah, that's like, ding.
And then comes the Mean Girls analogy. She's seeing a bitchy woman in a TV show on set, and then she's going, I'm going to copy that.
That's so interesting. First of all, it never occurred to me that the reason she is the way she is today could possibly be, and very likely be, because she never had a female role model.
Yeah.
Like a genuine one. Her mother, for example, because she did talk about how she would be on set of, Married with Children, I think the show was called.
Yeah.
And she would see very provocative young actresses, teenagers, or maybe in their early 20s when she was 10. And they were very sexual.
Yeah.
And her father used to tell her, that's very different from you. I know they're wearing a school uniform, but it's not the same thing. But it kind of makes sense that she watched them.
Yeah.
Because she said she did. And from a very young age, misunderstood or maybe learned that this is how women behave.
Yeah.
That women can only, not can only, but a woman's greatest strength is her sexuality.
Yeah. And I think that also your father telling a father telling a daughter, hey, this is how it is, right? And especially advice on what a woman is and what a woman isn't, right? It's kind of like the cattle telling the lion, oh, by the way, this is how things are, right? Yeah. Not that Meghan's target was ever her father, but that is the target, it would have been different coming from her own mother, who, when it comes to women, it's like, we've got the inside track, you know what I mean? There's that bond between a mother and daughter, which, you would rely on them for more in-depth information like that, as opposed to a man. The same way that, boys and men do the same thing with fathers and sons.
Yeah, absolutely. So she clearly didn't take her father's, I suppose not advice, but whatever he told her at the time. But yeah, it's so interesting. I never connected the two. I never connected the absence of her mom and her presence on set at such an early age on such a provocative show, especially for the time. I never watched it. It's before our time, but Meghan described it as a very kind of provocative, the first time you see, like, not the first time, but there's, like a drunken mom, or was it a drunken dad and a slutty daughter? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was that vibe. It wasn't a wholesome, family-friendly show.
No. I've never seen an episode of it, but I imagine that if I was to watch it now, I would go, okay, that's Meghan right there. That's Meghan right there.
Probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, so her father said she started to kind of change when she hit high school age. And that's around the time she, I guess, also discovered her power over men. Which, the way the book was written, I don't know if it's true. I don't know if Tom Bauer's sources were, had enough insight. But it was very much written in a way, even Thomas Markle in the book says, that she literally could mark men from a very young age and go, he's going to be my boyfriend. And then it happens. Which... I don't have that power.
Well, the thing is that coming from a guy's perspective, right? Most guys, especially that age, like, they're just going with the flow, right?
Yeah, they're young.
They don't really care what's going on, and especially when it comes to interest in the opposite sex, right? There's this thing about guys where they always have to seem cool and collected and like, I've got everything under control all the time, right? So, I can imagine that the people Meghan's targeting are just going with it. It's not necessarily that they're hard to achieve or anything like that.
Yeah.
But they're just going with it. And as you keep telling me, but I keep disbelieving, she's got her looks, right? I can imagine boys going, I could use a trophy girlfriend in school. So
yeah, she did come across like she was a trophy girlfriend. Yeah. Just, the girl that the guy wanted to show off with. Because she was pretty. Her first husband, Trevor, I believe, before they were married, referred to her as the prettiest girl in California. Like, to his friends, I nailed the prettiest girl in California, essentially. And he was, very much... We'll get to that, but that dynamic was also very, very familiar to the dynamic with Harry.
That's an insult to every other girl in California.
Look, whatever. You're free to say that. People's tastes, people have their own... beauty is subjective, or so I'm told, which scientifically apparently is not true. There is a universal objective beauty, or a beauty standard that, permeates through different cultures as well. Like, we all, as humans, have this attraction to certain beauty standards that are uniform. Apparently.
Interesting.
Apparently, yeah. Like, across cultures, across ethnicities, all that. What I wanted to say about he's my boyfriend is very much connected to your theory, which is at that time in life especially, they're all young, they're not married, they're not in a serious relationship if they're 17. Yeah. They might think they are.
Of course. Every teenage relationship, both parties think they're in it for life.
Absolutely. So it's very easy, I suppose, for a girl at that time to go, he's going to be my boyfriend, because he's not, again, committed to someone else, married, with kids. So I guess the older she got, which was evident from the book, the more difficult it was for her to mark a man and make him her own, of course, until she got Harry, which was luck because he was single, but he was available.
Here's the thing about Harry, right? He never matured past high school. Yeah. He's still that kid in school, right? That's her caliber, is... the guy who doesn't know what he wants and is just, essentially swinging himself around because he doesn't know what to do. Because that's the difference. Once men grow up, once men and women grow up, the older you get, the more you understand what's important to you and you start deciding what you want. And a trophy girlfriend or a trophy wife isn't that important in the long run because they're just a mantelpiece, right? Yeah. So I can imagine a lot of these guys going, yeah, but what if I want something with substance?
Not just substance, someone who wasn't so difficult, because we'll see from her other boyfriends, and I'm not sure too much about Trevor. I think he was very enamored by her, but Corey, the Canadian chef, whom she, according to Tom Bauer, was actually still living with when she met Harry, he was so done with her. He just never bothered. He didn't want to be the one to break up.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing Tom spoke to him.
Yeah.
Because it was very much like he was sick and tired of her. They were both sick and tired of each other, but Corey didn't want to make the first move to leave.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's interesting because we haven't heard much from the exes. We haven't heard much from him, and to hear that side of the story is quite interesting. I've always been curious about, well, what behavior has carried over from then to here, you know?
It's very similar.
Yeah.
The general gist that I got from the book is that every man in her past was, you know, counting his blessings for her moving on and leaving them alone. I'm serious. That's the vibe I'm getting. It's not one of those, oh no, my long lost love. I know Trevor was heartbroken because she literally, you know, that story of her mailing him the rings.
Yeah.
That's true. There was no explanation. This woman did not do anything in life without scheming. She wanted to be rich and famous. That's all she cared about, by the way. Which is not news to you, of course.
Oh my gosh. It's just...
It's all she cared about.
It's at this point, it's a disorder. Like, I don't know where it falls in disorders, but the I just want to be rich and famous thing has now reached the point where I think we can classify it in a psychology textbook.
What's interesting is she was, her era was way before internet, social media, reality TV, the Kardashians. So while I understand the youth of today wanting to just be famous for the sake of it, like Kim Kardashian, I mean, I don't understand, but I see how it can happen. I don't know how it happens to people of Meghan's era, but at the same time, she is a product of Hollywood. She grew up in Los Angeles.
Yeah. And
she was on set with her father. So I can also see how that happened.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's almost as if now the era we live in, we feel as if, you know, there's less disconnect between us and Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
You like a celebrity? Well, now you can follow them on Instagram and you can see everything they're doing. And back then, she wouldn't have Instagram, but she would be in the studios and she would probably see those celebrities. And so being, I guess, enamored and surrounded by that constantly, you're absolutely right. That's probably what did it. But, I mean, the thing is that most of the people she was seeing probably had actual talent and worked to be there.
Yeah, I think rubbing shoulders with them and seeing them in front of a camera just inspired something in her, which I don't think you are inherently narcissistic if you want to be an entertainer, a performer, a star. I mean, we're both musicians. We are very much interested in entertainment and, you know, putting yourself out there for your art, right? So, I mean, is there a narcissistic streak to that? I don't know. I don't think so, but
I don't think so.
Some people might.
Just considering the fact that she was surrounded by all of that and still didn't absorb any of the talent, just absorbed all the superficiality of it.
Exactly. That's the problem with Meghan. She wanted to be the star without actually trying to work at being the star.
Yeah.
You know, she just wanted it to be handed to her, and she was getting angry and snappy with her father and then later Trevor when they were failing to get her roles that weren't just extras.
Now we suddenly see what the relationship between her and Harry probably is.
Yeah.
Is that when Harry goes, I'm a prince, and she goes, well, get me a role, and he goes, huh? He
tried in the Lion King premiere. He pitched her for voice acting to the CEO of, was it the CEO? Of Disney. It was caught on tape, and
Bob Iger? Is that the one?
Iger, yeah, that's
Bob
the one.
Iger,
That's the one. That's the one. And in the book, it actually says that they had no idea that was being taped. They didn't know that was being picked up, and they were mortified. That was news to me. I actually read that quite recently.
But how many conversations like that must have they had that aren't picked up? It must be that Harry is literally her little lapdog, and she just goes, get him, sick him, get him.
Yeah, I think now she does it more herself ever since becoming his wife. She has become, I suppose, an entity in her own right, which is what she's always wanted. And enough so that people would pay attention to her when she speaks to them, which was not her experience before marrying Harry. But yeah, it's what she does. Everything that Meghan is involved with, which we learned also from reading the extracts with Vogue and all that, she makes it happen. She puts out feelers. She tries to contact people. And again, is that admirable? I think it is to a certain extent, if you actually have value to offer. But if you're just willy-nilly going, I want to be on Vogue. Okay, but on what in what context?
Yeah,
on what basis?
What have you done? Absolutely nothing. I just am me. Okay, yeah, but you are nothing.
That's exactly it. It's the theme of the book. Meghan doesn't seem to comprehend that without Harry, her value as a global entity is zero. Not as a human being, because I don't like saying that. No one should feel like their value is attached to someone else. I think it's really sad to feel that way, and clearly she's felt that way. She lives with that reality every day because she knows that when she wasn't with Harry, every single door was shut in her face.
But does she live with that reality? That's the thing.
She does. That's why she's hanging on to him.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, there's that subconscious side. I'm going to need him to go places. But does she actually come to terms with it? Like, does she actually go, without him, I'm nothing? Or does she still say, without me, he's nothing? I can imagine she might be twisting that. This is the thing about
what?
This is the thing about delusional people.
I think she tells him that.
Yeah.
But what do we always say about delusional people? They know the truth on the inside. That's why they're so angry and bitter. But they twist it and they project onto their victim.
Yep.
And turn it around. You know how it is. You lived through it. You were portrayed as the perpetrator when you were the victim. So that's what she's doing with Harry. She is telling him that he's nothing without her. When she knows deep down inside that it's exactly the opposite. But he doesn't know.
And then add the subtext of the covert incestual, like, I am your mother reincarnate. And it's like, Harry's probably connecting the dots to the memories of when Diana told him off, or when he was in trouble with Diana.
Yeah.
It's so messed up. If Harry had therapy every day for the rest of his life after leaving Meghan, it probably wouldn't be enough to undo the damage she's done.
Tom Bauer doesn't think that at the moment either of them is going to leave. So they're both pretty much very much embroiled in this toxic web together, and they need each other right now because they validate each other, they feed each other's egos, they provide narcissistic supply to each other, and there's no reason right now to leave. I don't know if he will ever leave, and she will only leave if, let's say, she could be president and she had to dump her titles, which she does. She might go, well, Harry's in my way now. This is the thing with her. It's what she's done to the men in her life. And I don't know why Harry would be any different. At some point, when they have done nothing wrong, she decides, you've outlived your usefulness. Bye-bye, whack. Kick out of her life. And so finally, so permanently, like no contact, we're finished. And like I said, it broke Trevor, her first husband.
This whole concept of ladder climbing is so poisonous. This idea of getting to heights that you otherwise wouldn't attain on your own merits, right? Specifically that way, because there is climbing the ladder by, the balance of what you know and who you know. But then there's people who climb the ladder just based on their own manipulative verbal dialogue. So I've had experience with this many, many years ago. I've seen this, back when I used to go to church a little more frequently.
When you say many, many years ago, like what, when you were 5?
Not when I was 5, no. But, I'd say even over a decade ago, I've seen people who entered roles basically without merit, without anything to show for it. And it's, you kind of sit there and you go, what? But you just got here. How did you just get here and get that position? You know what I mean? And then you see other people more deserving, and you go, but that person has been working their butt off. And I'm sure people also see that when it comes to in their workplace, in even just about anything. You see people who do the hard yards and deserve it. And then you see people like Meghan who don't deserve anything, but they won't shut up until they get what they want.
That's exactly her quality. And like I said, she's lucky that she looks the way she does, because of course, there is the reality of if Harry didn't find her attractive, let's say that mutual friend sent the photos, and Meghan didn't look like Meghan.
Yeah.
He might have been, as humans, we're I don't know if it's vanity. It's human nature to be attracted to attractive things, right?
Yeah.
So if she wasn't beautiful or pretty, Harry could have been like, yeah, no. You know what I mean? That's just the reality, and the door would have been shut. So it doesn't matter how much you blab if you don't have other things going for you.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, agreed. If I suspend my disbelief for a moment and I assume that she is, any sort of acceptable face of, I don't even want to say the word beauty, right? Then that's all she has. That's all she has going for her.
Yeah.
And again, it's such a waste because she's got the determination to get places, but she didn't have the talent. She had the resources when she was with her dad in the studios, but she didn't have the talent. She has so many qualities that could be used for good instead of evil, and they just all fall flat because she never stopped to think that maybe she should work on herself for once.
I remember reading that a teacher actually offered her some lessons for the theater, and she rejected the offer because the theater was beneath her. She was one of those people who, no, Hollywood is it, the movies, who goes to the theater anymore? And ironically, in Europe, the theater, especially in England, such a huge deal.
Actually, this is the thing. When I was a kid or a teenager, as I'm growing up, I have this thing in my head that a lot of actors that are discovered, right? You see someone come out of the woodwork, like, where did they come from? I've never heard of them before.
Yeah.
That they came from theater. So theater has often led to Hollywood, and often people who are done with Hollywood move to theater.
Yeah, well, try telling Meghan that.
But if she had any idea about the industry she wants to be a part of, then she would know that, but she doesn't have any idea. She's clueless.
And if she had any respect and appreciation for the art of acting, she would have taken up that offer. But yeah, that stood out to me because that confirmed what we've always said, which is she always thought she was perfect, just the way she is. And, how dare anyone recommend lessons or improving herself. And I can fast forward now to Suits because she did meet Trevor, obviously, before that. And they were both trying to make it in Hollywood. She as an actress, him as a producer. Both of them were struggling. It didn't happen. And she was the one who got the first break as Suits. Rachel Zane in Suits. I don't know. Tom didn't really talk about how she landed that audition. It sounded like... he literally just said her agent called her and told her there's an audition for this.
Yeah.
Many people are saying Trevor, her husband, opened up the door. Her father opened up the doors. None of that was in the book, unfortunately, which I'm guessing, Tom Bauer just couldn't get any sources or any verification for that story. So it was as simple as she got a call, was told to audition. She did. They loved her, and she got the role. Which, by the way, my goodness, I had no idea how much she was getting paid, even in season 1.
Yeah.
I remember telling you, $50,000 per episode.
Jeez.
And I think the first season had 12 episodes. So right off the bat, she was making bank.
Yeah.
$50,000. People make that in a year.
Yep.
So she had it good. And it only went up from there. It went up to 75 per episode. And these things, they keep going up. They even, I got some insights from the experts who spoke in the Johnny Depp trial.
Yeah.
About how anyone who gets like a franchise deal, a multi-movie deal.
Yeah.
They always get an automatic bump up in the pay.
Yeah.
Always. So Amber Heard had $1 million for Aquaman. Amber Heard had $1 million for Aquaman 1.
Yeah.
And then she was offered $2 million for 2. And I believe they were going to put her up to $4 million for 3.
Yeah.
Which, bye-bye 3.
Bye-bye 3.
She was making a lot of money. And the fact that by the time she met Harry, she was already worried about her financial status, which is what the book says. And she actually even told her agent at the time, Gina, that she was running out of money. And I just thought, wow, what were you spending it on? Because she did not own a house. She was living in a rental with Corey, the Canadian chef, at the time. And that's the same house that Harry would then start visiting her because she made Corey leave, which I think he left willingly because I told you. He was like, I'm done with you.
I think that if Meghan walked in the room, I'd willingly leave too.
But he left her the rental. He was like, yep, you can have it. And she never owned a house. She never, she just spent it. She spent it, and it's odd because she found fame at 30.
Yeah.
And I would have thought that you would already be a mature person at the time who had some semblance of, financial acumen, understanding how to manage your money, understanding that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity because she was such a struggling actress.
Yeah.
Making it at 30, as ageist as it is very late in Hollywood. It wasn't even Hollywood, technically.
It is very ageist.
It's very ageist. Yeah. It's disgusting. I guess I have a few, I'll just go build my own, what is it? Dig my own grave, because approaching, so life is over. But what was I saying? Yeah, so she struggled so hard and knows what luck it is to get a role like that, and she still spent it.
This is the problem with this level of not only... It's such a level of delusion that it comes back to... I always say that she's got this element of stupidity, right? She's not entirely stupid, but part of her is extremely stupid, right? And to reach 30 and to be given that much money and to not immediately... as soon as you hit a break... You should be thinking about what if I never get a break again, right?
Yeah.
Not doomsday thinking, not like, oh, well, I'm done for. This is the only role. Like, you have to keep a positive attitude, but you should always be planning for what happens if I've got nothing at the end of this.
Well, she did plan, but her plan was called manhunting. That was her plan.
So disgusting.
And that's how Tom Bauer describes her.
Yeah.
He describes her as a manhunter. She was on a manhunt, specifically in England for some reason.
Yeah.
She specifically wanted a rich British man. And she literally would tell people, she would go to London, do you know any rich British men? And it's so embarrassing. Because don't you want to make a natural connection with someone? You're literally just looking for rich British man, rich British man, rich British man.
Yeah.
The only thing I can say is, wow, she ended up nailing a prince. So kudos to her in that area. She set out for a rich British man and she got the Prince of England. Well, not the Prince of England, but a Prince of England.
Yeah, but it's only because he's stupid.
I'm just saying, when you look at it in writing, it's like, damn, this girl did it.
Yeah,
and she overshot.
The really stupid girl got a rich Prince of England who was just as stupid as her.
Yeah, so she was with Trevor, like I said, I think in celebration, or he was worried she was slipping away from him because when she got Suits, she already started to kind of have an attitude, and she moved to Toronto, which apparently everyone on the in the Suits team, like the executives and all that, were very shocked because all the other staff were commuting to film because they had their family and their wives and their husbands and all that. She was the only one who was willing to just up and go, completely relocate to Toronto and leave her husband behind. Her brand new husband. Yeah, they've been together for, I think at the time, 8 years, and then they got married. Yeah. But it was a brand new marriage, and I think he did it in a way to keep her. Because, like I said, I think he was worried she'd, escape. Which she ended up doing. She outgrew him, started being really nasty, and one day he found the ring, whatever, in the mail. And that is a true story because he called her father and Tom described him as being absolutely heartbroken.
Yeah.
Just blindsided. How could she do this?
Yeah. How could she do it? Well, you see, she's not a decent human being.
No.
So she is capable of some of the most horrendous things known to man.
Yeah, she's really cold. I mean, cold doesn't even begin to describe her.
Even the North Pole's like, damn, that's cold.
So, the thing about Meghan, though, again, why did she get Suits? It's actually in the book. Because Meghan is only good at being one thing, herself, which is an entitled, spoiled brat. Apparently, I've never watched Suits. Apparently, Tom Bauer says that that's pretty much Rachel Zane. An entitled, very ambitious, which Meghan is, just, a go-getter who knows what she wants, but it is still described as though she's a spoiled brat. She comes from money. Rachel Zane, the character, comes from money. And that's why Meghan nailed it, because it was basically the same person.
Yeah, she didn't have to act.
Exactly. That's exactly what the implication is. Because other than Rachel Zane and a couple of really embarrassing Hallmark movies, and I think one really embarrassing British movie or English movie that she filmed in London that she actually wanted, like, she wanted it suppressed. She wanted it to get canned. And when it was playing after she started dating Harry, they resurrected it. And she was embarrassed, apparently, because it was such a bad role. But she never, ever got accepted into Hollywood. Ever. Even after Suits. She became, not even famous in Toronto, but I guess, she started spending the money, rubbing shoulders with rich people in Soho House, and she started rubbing shoulders with Justin Trudeau, his wife, Sophie, all that. Point being, it still wasn't good enough.
Yep.
It was a really good life. One that I've said multiple times that I would have been very happy with. Yeah. Perfect level of, I get to do what I want for a living. I make a lot of money. I have an incredible life, but I'm also anonymous. I mean, who wouldn't want that?
That's just it, isn't it? You see a lot of successes, but she doesn't see success. She sees, I am not the Queen of England, and thus I have not attained my rightful, I must be worshipped. And this is the delusion. You must be worshipped. And make no mistake, that is what she wants. Until every single person on the planet worships her, she will not be satisfied.
I agree, and that is very much reflected in her attitude towards the media, towards social media. How dare you say one wrong thing about me? She's a tyrant who wants people to see her as perfect. So she starts recruiting. She got Sunshine Sachs, who she paid $7,500 every month at the time, because she thought they would boost her profile. And they struggled. They couldn't get her anything. Then she got Gina from London, a London-based publicist, I suppose. She tried so hard to get doors open to her. With the UN, she used this Irish-American man. Is it John Fitzgerald? I think that was his name. He was, I guess, a male version, a socialite. Just rich guy who knew people. Yeah. And he took a liking to her. He was much older, but he took a liking to her. Also, she cheated on Trevor. She cheated on him with, or on Corey, was it? Man, she's a cheater.
You see the surprise on my face?
Yeah, it's zero, I know.
There's probably not a single relationship she's had in her life where she wasn't cheating.
I'm trying to remember if it was Corey. I think it was Corey she cheated on. She was with this Irish golfer called Rory. Was it Rory? And she even wrote about him on the TIG, gushing, and Tom put an excerpt. And I was like, wow, you can just tell that, she couldn't hold in how she felt about that golfer, and she had to gush about him in some kind of an article on her blog, where you would think he doesn't really have a place there. It's more like
it's all messed up.
But Corey confronted her multiple times, and she denied it.
Of course.
I think he was beyond caring, to be honest. I think he just went, okay, I believe you.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, she's, according to the book, a cheater. And where was I? Sorry. But yes, everything she did. The UN, she got Fitzgerald to contact the Clintons. He was very close with the Clintons. He hosted them frequently, and she met them through him. She even met Obama, but again, it was more like a +1. I don't think Obama paid much attention to her at the White House in 2015. And they are the ones who contacted, some high-ranking official in the UN, and that's how she got in the UN. And she lied about that. In an interview, she said, the UN reached out to me on the TIG.
Of course, because...
I wrote this article about female empowerment, and the UN reached out. Yeah, why would they reach out? They wouldn't even know about the TIG. No one knew about the TIG.
So if I take away her face and her body, right, where's the female empowerment? What power does she have?
She is the opposite of female empowerment.
Yes.
Who goes around going, get me a rich husband?
Yeah.
How is that female empowerment?
Yep.
That is bowing down. That is gobbling up the patriarchy.
Yes.
She is literally everything that true feminists despise.
Yes.
A woman whose value, I mean, look, it's one thing if you actually met someone along the way and they elevated you. It's entirely another thing also if you're honest and you're like, you know what? I don't want to put the hard yards in. I'm not a feminist. I want to marry someone and I want him to take care of me.
Yeah.
At least you're being honest about it. But this is someone who, you know, on one side, the mask goes feminism, independence, female empowerment. That's all the usual drivel she, you know, spews out of her mouth. And when the truth is, she's a manhunter.
Yes.
Who wants a man to finance her and give her value. It's disgusting.
I like the correlation between manhunt because almost 20 years ago there was this one of those games that were banned everywhere. It was called Manhunt. It was this really gruesome, like R-rated thing, and I just keep associating it to that. It's like a really just that's what she is. She devours people. She rips through them. She doesn't care. It's just so inhumane.
Yeah, it is. So she ruined the UN thing entirely because she wanted to be Emma Watson. She just wanted to be Emma Watson.
But Emma Watson could act.
And I think Emma Watson's involvement with the UN would have been genuine.
It definitely, you know, absolutely.
I don't know her, obviously. I read in the comments that she's not really a nice person. Regardless, you can be a mean person and still care about, I suppose, feminism and the advancement of women and young girls and education. But Meghan just wanted to be Emma. And the UN saw right through her. A high-ranking official saw right through her. They went with her to Africa, and they realized she was in it for herself.
Yep.
And so they rejected her bid for being made an ambassador. She was merely an advocate. She wanted to be an ambassador like Emma.
Yep.
She tried multiple times. It was always slapped down with a no. Until eventually in 2015, pretty early, man. She was barely there for a few months. She quit.
Yeah.
She had a hissy fit.
Yeah.
And went, don't want anything to do with you anymore. If you won't give me what I want. She was a nobody then. Let's remember here. She was no one. It's insane, the entitlement. Anyways, to sum it up, everything she tried to do, every opportunity she got, you know, whether it was, a paid gig here to speak somewhere or whatever it was after 1,000 requests have been denied.
Yeah.
That's what this book really sheds light on.
And then she blows it.
And then she blows every single opportunity presented her way. Make no mistake, every single opportunity, because she ruined her position as a senior royal member.
Yep.
So, before we get into that, how she got Harry. She never gave up on her rich man hunt. She kept coming back to it. We all know she wanted to be with the footballer Ashley Cole, which is crazy because I was a little girl watching him play, and I was like, oh, Meghan wanted to be with him. Everyone told her no, he's a womanizer, he's a cheater, etc., etc. She didn't care. She didn't care. She kept asking. She kept asking about him to different people. Like, if someone said no, he's not the best person, she'd go to someone else and ask about him again.
Yeah.
Completely just like, it's going in one ear out the other.
Yeah, why do you ask advice if you just want to hear your version? Stick with your version. Don't find out the truth because clearly your delusion is much better.
Yeah. So then she finds herself in Wimbledon, was it late June, in London, 2016, and she, as I said, she realizes that this woman she's talking to was a mutual friend of Harry's who grew up with him.
Yeah.
And so she goes, can you set me up?
Yeah.
And the way it's written, it's like this just happened, And the woman goes, yeah, sure, just, as long as I can send him photos.
Yeah.
Which she did. He agreed. And within, 24 hours? I don't know. She had him. And what's more important is the book states that she did a deep, intense Google search of him to study him.
I love that. I love that he put that in there because that was one of those. Everyone was like, why would you say that? Why would you say you didn't? And the fact that he's just like, she is a liar. Straight up. This is a straight up lie. Oh, it feels good.
When you think about it, all of us got red flags when she said that. Even when we didn't know anything about her, that engagement interview was the first I'd ever seen her. Yeah. First I'd ever even known this thing. Wow, that was mean.
Yeah.
This woman exists on the planet.
Yeah.
And I still went, what? Why would she say, I never looked into my husband or I never researched Harry. I didn't know anything. Why would you say that? You know what I mean? It seems like something you would say if the truth was bubbling up inside you.
Exactly.
And you wanted to say the opposite. Because let's say you never researched someone I don't know. It seems to me that it's a very specific response.
It is.
You know?
It's like the cops knock on your door and the first thing you do when you open the door is, I didn't kill anyone.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like that. So she did a deep study. He said she researched him, every single thing. She went, mostly his weaknesses. She focused on his weaknesses, which of course we all know, his mother.
There's the
and
hunting.
His mental health issues and his problems with the media. He's always hated the media. He's punched paparazzi before and all that. So she went tick, tick, tick. That's what I'm going to do.
Yep.
Also, she realized, yes, he was missing a mother figure.
Yep.
And she went for the caring motherly figure that he always wanted, which is pretty sick.
Incest.
It's sick. I get confused sometimes when I see young girls or young women, even my age, dating someone in his 50s or 60s. And I'm like, what are you doing? And it's clear that they have what's known as daddy issues, right? They never had that fatherly figure. That's what they're looking for. So it is clearly, it's applicable to men as well.
And it's not to say that partners don't have some sort of like crossover there where, there are times when a partner would be, loving and caring like a mother would, but it's that the quality is shared between the two parties. Not that the quality is taken specifically from that role, because at that point, that's when it's a problem, right? It's not to say that partners can't be loving and caring. It's to say that, no. This is how mothers do it. This is how a partner does it.
Absolutely. No, exactly. Of course, we all, caring and being affectionate is not just exclusively in the domain of motherhood. Of course, you're gentle, you're sweet, you're attentive. Sometimes your partner is sick and you do kind of baby them a little bit. It's natural. But when it's the basis of the relationship, when it's the foundation, that's where it's the problem. And that's what the basis of their relationship is. The whole world can see it. Way before you and I even got interested in this topic last year, it was just so many media articles and footage of her, kind of leading him around, stopping him, putting her back, basically controlling him in a way a mother would.
I wonder if someone's put a compilation of that next to Diana and Harry. I wonder if there's... Ooh, that'd be interesting.
I don't even know if Diana would have been that commanding over him.
Well, probably not, though. That's probably also partly her personality.
In terms of after they met, and after she moved in with him, she pretty much moved in permanently into Kensington in 2017. My understanding is because she ran out of money and wanted that prestige. Because suddenly she came into all that prestige that she's ever, always wanted. The exclusive, even when she landed, her passport was processed somewhere else. It wasn't with the rest of us, plebs.
I've never thought that hard about, I want my passport processed elsewhere.
Everything she wanted, everything, all the privilege, all the security guards, everything. And she started to complain about the media very early on. I learned this from the book, as early on as... it's just really early on. Before that statement that we all know about came out in 2016. Yet, at the same time, she complained and then she would bait the media on her Instagram. I did this in the first extract we read. I put up every photo of her showing off that bangle, that bracelet that she and Harry shared on purpose. Her dog in a little Union Jack knitted little top thing. Just little hints while she complained at the same time. So she's problematic from the get-go. The staff see right through her from the get-go. William sees right through her. Basically, a lot of people see that this woman is only here for self-promotion. And I'm going to skim over, because we talked about the, Vanity Fair article. We already talked about how she was all about self-promotion, using Harry for self-promotion before they even got engaged. And you get the sense that she manipulated him into proposing to her. Because it happened very fast, but she was very much playing that, Harry, I'm not safe here. So she essentially played on his fears of, losing his mother to convince him that if you got engaged to me, if you married me, I'll be safe.
It's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard.
Of course, but then it didn't stop there because, of course, they got engaged. They got married. Did she shut up?
No.
Was she satisfied?
No.
She waged a war with the media, despite everyone telling her that number one, there's no point. Number two, they do this with everyone.
Yeah.
You're baiting them. the more you poke and prod at them, the more
Yeah.
they're going to want to retaliate. And she wasn't exactly helping herself. She was doing things like provoking the media. You know, the way she dressed, the way she would do things that, yes, a feminist would want to do. When I say this, I mean her type of feminism, by the way, which is...
Yeah, not the actually doing things to further the
Yeah.
cause of women, the wearing things to further the cause of women.
Or if women who think that if a man, you know, opens a door for them, that is, you know, the most abhorrent, disgusting thing ever. How dare you? I'm a feminist. I don't need you to open the door for me. But at the same time, I want to marry you. Can I have all your money? So pretty much Meghan in a nutshell. I remember reading in the book she did snap at someone for telling her after you or something. Or
Why don't you just grab the door and go, no, after you? That reverse the standard.
yeah. Now, I'm not sure that she blackmailed him or manipulated him rather into getting engaged, because as far as I'm concerned, he's crazy about her, or was at least crazy about her. Can't say the same right now based on what we've seen at the UN recently, that footage of him going, don't hold my hand. But he was enamored by her back then, so maybe it wasn't necessarily against his will. He wanted to do it, but one can argue, yeah, he was in love with her, but it still happened way too fast.
Yeah.
She, in the lead up to the wedding, we all know she was a nightmare. She was a bridezilla. I don't want to rehash things that we already know, but it will be news to people who didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, everything that we know about her bullying Charlotte, making Kate cry.
Yep.
The story of Kate trying to make amends by getting flowers to her was repeated in the book. No confirmation as to what happened in the sense that we heard that Meghan just slammed the door in Kate's face. Too late. Meghan's version, we all know in the Oprah interview, was pretty much a lie, which is that Catherine made her cry. It's so pathetic.
Everything Meghan does is pathetic
It's
and
so
a lie.
pathetic.
That's just it. It's like I keep saying. If Meghan opens her mouth and says something, assume the complete opposite, because she is the anti-equation to the truth.
Yeah. But the general gist is, woe is me.
Yeah.
I just want to, you know, in the interest of time, summarize this latter kind of chapter. Once she got married, William became the enemy. Catherine wasn't nice enough. William wasn't nice enough. They weren't accommodating enough. They weren't generous enough. She should be treated better. They broke away from each other. They moved away to Frogmore Cottage. And then next to Frogmore Cottage was this Windsor Park,
Yeah.
which was open to the public. And I remember this happening in real time. And I remember rolling my eyes when I, you know, because I wasn't really following the royal family. This was pre-YouTube, 2019 maybe, where the public were told, please do not approach the Duke and Duchess. Do not approach the Duchess if you see her walking her dog. Do not talk to her. Do not look at her. Crazy stuff that was never done. Catherine and William, they're seen out and about all the time.
Yeah.
You know, George, they're children. They run up to other people's dogs, and they're normal human beings.
Yes.
But, you know, with Meghan, I'm going to Wimbledon. I'm going to empty out the whole of the royal box. No one can sit here. There was a person taking a selfie, and she thought they were taking a photo of her, so she, you know, sent her security guard after him. And another woman who she thought was taking a photo, when she wasn't, she was taking a photo of the actual game. She just thinks everyone is interested in just her.
Reminds me of that time that the Queen was somewhere backstage, and I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head, but there was someone doing a selfie or something, and the Queen ended up in it. She's like, oh, okay. And, like, she just went with it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm just, you know, filming myself. Oh, here's the Queen. You know?
The thing with Meghan and Harry is that they want their cake. And they want to have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
So she wants to be this famous, privileged royal.
Yeah.
Going into Wimbledon, a very high-profile event, and yet be a private citizen at the same time. Which we all know is a lie, because her hunger and thirst for fame is like no other.
Yeah.
I have never seen or heard of anyone like her in their quest for fame. That's all she ever wanted, to be famous and obviously to be rich, which is very much reflected in her extravagant wardrobe. I do have to say, the rest of the book, it talks about Megxit and their eventual, you know, transition to America, their failed transition to America. So I'm just going to leave it there for the book. We're pretty much, because you know, when we started the podcast, it was
that time
picking up from there. Yeah. So we're pretty much up to date. Nothing new. I do want to say there were a few mistakes, and not even just typos, because there were typos. There were a few factual errors that did annoy people and that confused me. One of them confused me so much I had to go back and read the paragraph 3 times.
Yeah.
It's a stupid thing. It's about her. I'm sure all the ladies will recognize this. in their engagement portraits. They took photos to announce their engagement. And she wore a 56,000, was it pound dress?
Yeah.
56,000. Whether it was dollars or pounds, whatever.
It's still a lot of money.
And it was quite, in terms of being royal, people say, I'm not sure if, I'm not one to weigh in on this, but it was sheer. And it had to be tastefully covered up by Harry in the photos, which is not very, I suppose. Yeah, now that I think about it, it's not very royal. It's not very becoming. It's very Hollywood.
Nothing about her is very royal.
Exactly. It's very Hollywood. It's not very royal. Point being, Tom Bower confused that very extravagant dress for the other very simple green dress that she wore when the announcement was made. So when the engagement was announced, she and Harry showed up, and there was a photo call. So he got them confused. I know women were annoyed by that. This is why I read the paragraph 3 times over, because I was like, I think he got the wrong dress.
Yeah.
There were a few other mistakes here and there, a few other typos, like I said. There may be factual errors that I didn't even pick up on, because I don't know what the other side is, for example. So just a heads up, if you're reading it, it should have, I think it should have gone through an editing process one more time at least.
Yeah.
Before it was released. Maybe it was rushed. Very quickly, in Tom Bower's interviews, like I said, he states that he interviewed over 80 sources, but that there were a couple of hundred of people who didn't want to talk to him. And he believes that Meghan specifically ordered them.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Completely in character. He says that the book is balanced and fair and that he admires her to some extent. And I have always said that I feel the same way about Meghan. There's always been this quality where I acknowledge her drive, her ambition, in a world where many people give up, in a world where people kind of accept the status quo and accept that this is just the way it is. This is life. I'm not like that. So when I see someone like Meghan, especially before the Oprah interview, when she wasn't a bad person in my books, I drew from that as, you know what, that's inspirational. Because if you want something in life, you should make it happen, because we only have one life.
Yeah.
Of course, that doesn't mean you go destroy other people's lives in the process.
And that's the line. That's where the line is drawn, because she will destroy every single person's life on this planet so long as she gets to be sitting on the throne at the end of the day.
Yeah. And, this is what the book is about, by the way. It's about Meghan's journey. And it really opens your eyes and lets you understand how desperate she was. If you're interested in understanding her motives, then this book is for you if you haven't read it yet. Because and it also actually the end of it shows you how her hubris was her own undoing.
Yeah.
Any normal person, let's say you're a very driven individual, you get to where you want.
Yeah.
But then when you get to where you want, you should be happy.
Yes.
You should be satisfied, and you should abide by the rules of the institution you joined. I always draw parallels to the army. I aspired to be in the military, and so I worked very hard to get into the military. But when I got into the military, I was satisfied.
Yes.
Because I attained that goal.
Yeah.
You want me to tie my hair a certain way? I will.
Yeah.
You want me to, do. I had my right ear had 7 piercings. They had to go.
Yeah.
I didn't kick up a fuss and go, no, I want these piercings.
But you know who will kick up a fuss? A spoiled brat.
Exactly. So in a way, even though the military is not like the monarchy, we did have, I think podcast 4 was specifically about talking about how similar it was in terms of service, in terms of rules, in terms of history, an ancient institution that you are joining. You can't expect to change it.
Yeah.
Especially for your own selfish reasons.
Yeah, and the thing is that the fact that she even thought that was a possibility, the fact that thought even crossed her mind in the first place, is enough for me to come back to the straitjacket and the padded cell. She is gone, and she's never coming back. There is no good side of Meghan. There is no person to save in there. It's dead. Yeah,
and in the book, there's a lot of talk about how the staff were bewildered. They really, were confused as to how she thought that she was all that. Number one, when everyone knew her only value was Harry, but also that she really believed that she was good for the monarchy and that she was the future. She was going to reshape it. That is another level of grandiose narcissism. And she would tell the staff, it's not just an implication that they got from her behavior.
Yeah.
She would tell her staff that she is going to change the monarchy, she is going to change the world, and she is the best thing that ever happened to the monarchy.
Yeah.
She believed it. It's insane. And that was what led to her demise, because look at them now.
Yeah.
Look at them now. You know, from the beloved couple who got married in a beautiful wedding that everyone tuned into live, including ourselves. I mean, you only did it because I said I wanted to watch it, to be fair. I didn't force you.
At least I was supportive, you know.
I didn't force you, though.
Yeah, I wasn't sitting there going, I'd rather be anywhere else.
I just saw it as, hey, it's live. It's not a crazy time in Australia. It's a once-in-a-lifetime royal wedding kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't beautiful, unfortunately. Again, red flags, right? You just get those. I remember Zach saying, there's just something really off about this woman. I remember you going, she's robotic.
Yeah.
That's how you described it. And she was. But yeah, she, a book about the climb to the top, and then a very fast climb to the top.
Yeah.
But then an even faster fall to the bottom.
Yeah, as it should be.
And when I say bottom, of course, yes, they're still Duke and Duchess. Yes, she's still filthy rich. Yes, she still, has everything she wanted. But then there's also this question, right? This question of whether she does have everything she wants, because she wanted to be the most beloved person on the planet. She wanted to be Princess Diana. She wanted everyone to love her. And that's why she tries to control the media.
Yep.
And she tried very hard to control the media, especially after becoming the Duchess. And a lot of her fights and arguments in the palace was about that issue. They understood that you cannot control the media and Meghan. No matter how much you try, you can't control them. And she just refused to get that in her thick skull.
Yeah.
And it was a failure. It was a conspiracy. She thought the staff were conspiring against her because she's a woman and she's a woman of color and they're sexist and racist and nothing was ever her fault. Nothing. Everything that went wrong, every negative article about her extravagant wardrobe, which the palace staff had nothing to do with, she wanted those clothes. She actually wanted to get them for free. She tried to do her Hollywood wannabe Meghan thing of reaching out to Dior and all those houses of fashion and go, hey, the Duchess can give you free publicity if you send her a few things.
Imagine a big corporation reaches out to another corporation and goes, hey, give us something for free because we're a big corporation. It's like, of all the people on the planet, you're the one who could afford to actually pay for this.
And that's, the royal family pays for everything. They do not accept gifts.
Yeah.
So it was against royal protocol, and she still did it. And then the staff reprimanded her and said, you can't do this.
Yeah.
You can't merch off your title.
But that's the problem. People like this, spoiled brats, monsters from birth, you cannot tell them what they can't do. Because they will go and do the opposite just to spite you. Even if it hurts them, they will go and do it.
Yeah. The Queen actually, I think they found out that towards the end, right before Megxit, or right at the beginning of Megxit, that Meghan and Harry wanted to merch Sussex Royal on pens. On pens, just stationery. That's what they're relegating the monarchy into.
Yeah.
And the Queen put a stop to it.
Yeah.
She said she can't do that. Sorry, there's Leo's fur, of course there is. It was unacceptable.
Yeah, well, everything about Meghan is unacceptable. Everything about her is unroyal, and everything she gets in her fall from grace is deserved. And she deserves 10 times more, in my opinion.
Well, it's what she did her whole life. She got free flights, first class, 5-star hotels, whenever her requests were accepted. Because there were, for every accepted request, like I said, there were 100 rejections. But when even before she was famous, she would, if she wanted to speak somewhere, which she would beg people to let her speak somewhere, she would then say free first class and free 5-star hotel. It's just part of her. It's part of her entitlement.
Yeah.
It's not something that happened after she met Harry. It's always been there. But one question I really liked was this talk show host in the UK asked Tom about the word ambition and how women, it's always a negative connotation, right, when it comes to women, ambitious women.
Yeah.
And Tom says, his response is that he lives with a very ambitious and successful woman whom he adores very much.
Yeah.
His wife. He has a beautiful little paragraph thanking her and her support. And he said that it wouldn't have happened without her, this book. And he says, I love ambitious women.
Yeah.
So it's got nothing to do with that, And that's exactly what we just try to say here on this podcast. Why would I want to tear down another beautiful, ambitious woman?
Yep.
I'm one of them. Not the beautiful bit, because I don't think that highly of myself.
On.
But I will say I am ambitious. I don't think it's a bad word.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. My way of thinking is you have one life.
Yeah.
And that's why I do so much. It's because I want to. I don't want to feel like I wasted this one life that I have.
Yeah.
You know, I don't believe in reincarnation. I don't have any proof of an afterlife. So I'm just going to make the most of it while I'm here.
Without hurting other people. And there is that line again.
Yeah.
And the moment that you think it's acceptable to hurt other people that have done nothing to you, you're a monster.
Yeah. And I like how Tom says Meghan achieved her version of success. He says her version.
Yeah.
He doesn't say success objectively. And we all have a subjective definition of success. But he specifies in terms of what she wanted, she got it. And I think he also says it's not necessarily what we would see as success.
Yeah.
But to her, it is.
Hey, if she thinks the entire world laughing at her for the rest of her life is success, then so be it. That's pretty successful if you want it to be the literal joke of royalty worldwide in the 21st century.
Absolutely. And when asked about whether she's going to read it, which apparently she said she wouldn't, he said she will most certainly read it. And
why wouldn't she? It's a book about her.
Exactly.
Of course she's going to read it.
Yeah, and on that note, he said, I don't mind if they sue, as long as they lose.
What are they going to sue for, though? He's just going to be like, hey, 80 witnesses, come forth. Who's she got?
Yeah, I mean, interestingly, look, he confirmed that he had lawyers go through everything. And we said this when we read out the first extract, before any of these interviews were said, because it's a common sense thing.
Yeah.
Of course you're going to have lawyers go through everything, especially when the subject is Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. But in terms of the 80 sources, the Vanity Fair interviewer actually got scared and backtracked and said that I never told Tom any of these things. But Tom, in an interview, when he was confronted with this, said, I know what I was told, I have evidence of it, and Sam has clearly been scared off.
Of course he has. Oh my gosh. Hey, you know who else scares off people like this? The mafia, criminal organizations, crooks, these sorts of people, like...
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's Meghan. Look at how she called ITV and lost Piers Morgan his job.
Yeah, this is an action, like this sort of stuff. I mean, I keep coming back to it. She has if she's crossed this many lines, there are no more lines left to cross.
Well, the bullying report.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate we don't know what the findings are, and people are worried that this is another example of Meghan essentially being enabled, being told you can get away with whatever you do.
Yes. And the more people tell her that that's not the case, and the more people that show her, like Tom Bauer, the more that, even though she'll think, I'm going to keep trying to get away with it, the more that she'll realize that her delusion has nothing to do with reality.
I don't know if she's ever going to realize that. I mean, she literally flat out, there's a whole paragraph about the court case with Associated Newspapers and, her lying about not being involved with writing the book, Fighting Freedom, and then how the truth just crumbled. I understand now why she wanted a summary judgment, which is without a trial. Because she didn't want to get cross-examined. And because she knows her house of cards is flimsy. It is flimsy. It is based on lies, and lies are not a foundation to anything.
Nope.
So she didn't want to get cross-examined, and she also knew in discovery her text messages and everything would come out, proving that she collaborated with Omid Scobie and instructed Jason Knopf to feed him information. Everything she flat out denied in sworn statements. And so she pushed for a summary judgment. And of course, kudos to her lawyers, not to her, for securing that summary judgment, because that's exactly what ended up happening. But yeah, I think that's about it. There was that comment I have here in my notes that the Queen allegedly made about, thank goodness Meghan won't be coming to the funeral. A Palace Confidential reporter refuted that. I have to put that out there. She said that she asked the palace staff about it, and they said that's not something the Queen would say on the day of her husband's funeral. Meghan would not be on her mind on the day of her husband's funeral.
Oh, don't tell Meghan that. She'll have a hissy fit. Jeez.
But yeah, so people are saying, well, that particular reporter said it doesn't make sense. Why would the Queen just say that? So let me know what you think in the comments. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know the Queen. I also am leaning towards, She's probably really devastated about the loss of her beloved husband.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's necessarily untrue. You know, maybe the source wasn't being honest.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm not going to blame Tom for that. But he seems to be very fair. I've watched multiple interviews. He seems to be just a very kind of, you know what, I just want to put the truth out there. Also, he has a very clever way of writing in the sense that, despite the typos, unfortunately, which there were quite a few, he puts things between the lines.
Yes.
So he will say things, but they're very veiled in sarcasm.
Yeah.
You know, so don't take everything he says at face value, because you might think he's her fan sometimes. If you do, it's sarcasm.
Yeah.
Very well placed.
You don't write a book like this if you're her fan.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not. Well, some people are like, he's too soft on her. I don't think he was too soft on her at all. Now that I've read it, you know, I have a couple of chapters left, and again, it's stuff that I'm aware of already, so I don't think I'll be changing my mind. He was just very clever about it, very diplomatic about it, and it remains to be seen whether she'll sue.
Wouldn't that be funny? Wouldn't that be funny? So long as she gets to be on the stand and commit perjury, because that would be hilarious.
Interestingly, I don't think she's ever tried to sue for defamation. You know, despite the bullying reports, everything, she's never tried to sue for defamation. They threatened over the Lilibet story with the name, right? And then they called their bluff, basically. The BBC called their bluff. But Meghan Markle has never tried to sue for defamation. What does that tell you?
She's a liar.
Ding, ding, ding. I wonder what's going on with her sister's defamation case. If anyone has an update about that, just let me know. But, because last I've heard, they tried to get it dismissed. Meghan tried to get it dismissed.
Of course, because she wouldn't want to be caught lying. Even
Yeah.
though she's already caught lying literally every time she opens her mouth.
I do have issues with, you know, I do have issues with that case. I also think there are some grave issues that can end it for Samantha. I think she should have gone after the authors of the book rather than Meghan herself.
Yeah.
I've already put my arguments out there, and people who disagree with me, you're free to, you know, whatever. Lawyers can have different arguments. There's no right or wrong necessarily. That's the thing about the law. Unfortunately, it's all how you argue it.
Yeah.
But that's it for this podcast. Now, I will say we will be on the move for the next 2 months, which includes being international, going international. We will obviously try to keep the channel as active as possible while we are overseas. But the problem is the setup.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's you can't see everything. It is
not just 2 microphones and us sitting with 2 teacups, I promise.
It is an enormous setup, and in no way possible to take. It's not a mobile setup, basically. So we'll see what we can do. If we do end up filming as a duo, it will probably be a less podcasty setup.
Yeah.
And a more almost like I was doing a solo video, but Zach's with me kind of setup.
Yeah.
It's temporary. Obviously, we're going to come back to this proper setup once we're back and once we've settled down again. But we'll keep you posted.
Yeah.
We will be quite busy, you know, kind of moving and stuff the next couple of weeks. But I hope it's not going to deter from, you know, our schedule. We'll just play it by ear. Whatever happens, we will come back in a very consistent, scheduled capacity by October.
Yes.
So really would love it if you stuck around for that. And
Yeah.
Is that it?
I think that's it.
I feel like I talked too much in this episode.
Well, you had basically a summarized version of the book.
Yeah.
I talked too much in the other episodes.
You're reading, and people love that. So, all right, everyone, take care. Paramedics, you're incredible. Again, just heroes on this planet, along with doctors and nurses, of course. But
when next time someone says, why don't you be a doctor or a lawyer? Make it a doctor or a doctor, because, you know, we need more doctors in the world.
Yeah, we have way too many lawyers. I've spoken about this. It's people are struggling to find jobs as lawyers, and this has been ongoing since I graduated, and it hasn't gotten any better.
Yeah.
But there is a shortage. I'd love to be a paramedic. In fact, it's incredible. It's just incredible. These are like literally putting life back into someone before my eyes.
Yeah.
You know, it's I guess it's what people say when they witness birth sometimes.
Yeah.
I've never witnessed birth, but some people go, it's life-changing when you witness birth. For me, it was life-changing witnessing two young men put life back into someone. It was beautiful. All right, that's it.
That's it.
Thank you all so much, and hopefully we'll see you very soon.
See you soon.
Bye-bye. Oh, and say bye-bye to this setup, because this is definitely not going to come back ever again,
We're
unfortunately.
back with a new setup.
Yeah. Bye, everyone. Take care.